Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Big Easy Blitz podcast. Today, it is just Brock and I. And in this episode, we will be doing something fun. This is probably the only thing we're going to do in the episode. We're going to go through each MLB team, even teams like the Rockies or Marlins that really have nobody, but name somebody that we believe can one day make the Hall of Fame. So, with that being said, Brock, what you got?
Just a preface. Not saying that me and Connor think that anybody on some of these rosters are making the team, making the Hall of Fame, but
Yeah.
we thought it'd be fun just to maybe pick somebody. So
hmm
there's going to be people in this who you might not agree with, but it's fun to do. And we'll see. And just another disclaimer: none of these guys are saying our first ballot. Okay, it's just possible we could see them projecting to the Hall of Fame.
hmm
So with that, we'll get right into it, and we'll start with the. So I'm doing the NL, Connor's doing the AL, just
Yep.
because I'm a Cubs fan, he's a Yankees fan. So we'll start with the NL Central or the Central Division.
Okay. Um,
We'll just go team for team.
y-
So
all right, I'll start. I'll
okay,
start with the Chicago White Sox. And I am going to go with the White Sox with Chase Mydroth. Now my man, he's going to be a decent average hitter. He's only 23 years old. Puts the bat on the ball, kind of like as of right now, an off-brand Jacob Wilson. He only has a 655 OPS. He's a rookie. Um, And to be honest, he's the only one of the White Sox that even remotely might have somewhat of a non-zero chance. So kind of by
yeah,
default, we're going with Chase Mydroth, but I think he can actually wind up being a decent player in this league one day. So you can go now.
okay. So since you did the White Sox, I'll do kind of the NL Central equivalent.
Yeah.
I'll do the Reds just because they're so young. I went with Elly De La Cruz, the obvious pick, but just looking through their roster, they just have a bunch of Hall of pretty good guys. Shout out Gianni for that one. I couldn't really find anybody. Another guy that I thought about putting was Chase Burns, just because he's super young. It's his first year, and he came on the scene pretty good, but then he got roughed up in his second start.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
just I went with Ellie, kind of similar to what you went with Chase Smyjoff. Just kind of a default pick right now. Ellie's a hot name in the baseball world, so we'll see. That's what I went with.
What about Hunter Green?
I thought about him, but he does get injured a lot.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. That was his one asterisk.
fair.
I could probably should have put him, just maybe, but
hmm
we'll see.
It's all right. So next
Let's
I'm
see.
going with the Twins.
Okay.
What's that?
Obviously, you want to do snake, but let's just keep going back and
No, let's
forth.
just
I
go
like
back and
it.
forth.
Yeah.
So next I have the Twins, and it pains me to say this. Ex-Astro Carlos Correa. I think Correa will make the Hall of Fame, and that's coming from a Yankees fan. He has a career 800 OPS, over an 800 OPS. He's won a Gold Glove here and there. He has an absolute rocket as an arm. Um, and I mean, as he's gotten older, I mean, he's only 30 years old right now, and he's still playing quality baseball. So, and to be honest, on the Twins, Byron Buxton, maybe he's already 31. Not many people know that because, I mean, Byron Buxton has been really injured, um, injury prone throughout his career. But when he's on the field, is the product's there.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like Carlos Correa, he's a World Series champion in Houston. Um, and he has some silver sluggers, has a gold glove. So, with
Yeah.
that being said, Carlos Correa.
I was actually talking to my uncle about Carl, like the whole. Actually, we were actually talking about this subject, Hall of Famers, in the league right now, and Carlos Correa's name came up, and he said like he's an avid like a diehard Astros fan, by the way, and he went into like a little thing on Correa. He said he never really liked Correa even when he was on the Astros. So
Really?
maybe this is biased, but he said that Correa probably will get kept out because of the 2017 incident.
Yeah.
Just because like guys like Pete Rose and Barry Bonds are getting kept out for. I'm not comparing those two. I'm just saying like the situations. But you never know. I think he might be able to scrape in, not first ballot at all.
No,
Maybe
absolutely
later
not.
if he's on the ballot for I don't like a while. But I never know. That's probably the safest option on the
Yeah.
Twins if Buxton didn't get hurt every other week. But with that, I'll go with the Brewers. And the first guy I put, again, similar to the Reds, it's just really tough. I put Jacob Mizorowski,
Okay.
just because he's so young and he's came out on the scene really good so far. Just a guy that might be able to project later. And then another guy that me and Connor were talking about before is Christian Yelich. I put a star next to his name because I don't really know how the committee would look at him. He obviously had a crazy good start to his career. Him and Bellinger back in was that 2018, 2019? They went.
Yeah.
There was those two battling out.
Mm.
Those commercials were unbelievable, by the way. It brings back memories. So yeah, I think Yelich. I personally would put Yelich in, but I don't know with injury history, and he's kind of had some bad years recently. You never know. But yeah, that's my two for the Brewers.
Yeah. I mean, Yelich, like, also on the Marlins, he was really just fun to watch.
Yeah,
And
that
obviously,
whole
kind of,
Marlins team.
yeah, I know they had like Ozuna, Justin
Oh,
Bour was over there.
hmm.
Zephyr's shout out right there.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, I've always been a Yelich fan. I'm rooting for him. And then you mentioned Mizorowski. I mean, it's really too early to tell with him. Um, but I mean, he has all the tools too, as long as
Right.
he stays healthy, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Royals right now. And there are two that kind of stick out above everybody else. It's Salvador Perez and obviously Bobby Witt Jr. Salvador Perez is going to make the Hall of Fame. He could retire now and make the Hall of Fame. He could have retired 2 or 3 years ago and made the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Um, enough said there. And then Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, he still has a lot to do, and obviously it's going to be tough getting those kind of accolades like MVP with guys like Aaron Judge looming in the American League, and obviously Cal Raleigh. Shout out
Thank you.
Brock.
Thank you.
Um, but he's going to get Silver Sluggers. He's going to get Gold Gloves, and who knows? He might get some MVPs one day. So. I mean, the dude's a stud. He really is.
Hmm.
He's going to be
I
the
agree.
face of the Royals franchise for years to come.
For sure, for sure. And kind of, I mean, most of these teams, there's not really, I mean, there's a couple teams who are like obvious Hall of Famers, but most of them are just we're projecting,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
So well, it's just something to see. Next, I'll go with the Pirates. That one's pretty obvious. It's Skeens. I think if he just stays 80% of what he's doing right now, he'll be a walk-in Hall of Famer. And then I put Andrew McCutchen. I think those two are pretty obvious, not much to really talk about there. Little like I said, Skinny just has to say 80% of what he's doing right now for his career, and he'd be a first ballot walk-in.
Yeah.
Um, that's not even the LSU bias coming out. Like that's like he's generational, and guys like that don't come around all the time. So I think those two are probably the most obvious for the Pirates. There's not really anybody else that I saw that could project.
Yeah. I definitely think McCutcheon's a Hall of Famer. We were talking about that a little off camera. I definitely think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's done enough in his career, has the accolades. And then Paul Skeens, I mean, just get him some wins, man, and
Dude,
he
that's
could
the
go
one thing
down
that
as
I
one of the
that
greatest
might keep
pitchers.
him out.
Yeah, it's not going to keep him out as
It
long as he stays
shouldn't,
healthy.
but if he gets traded, like I think he should get traded. And there's a couple guys on here that I'm gonna mention that if they get traded, could possibly
Yeah.
make it.
I mean, look, who knows? The Pirates might buy in around
No
Skeens, you know.
chance.
Yeah, you're right. But
I, I've seen the Pirates. As a Cubs fan, I've seen this one too many times. They always get rid of the good players.
yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of a problem in baseball. But next, moving on, I have the model of consistency as we talked about the other day, Jose Ramirez. I mean, over 850 OPS for his career, has accolades, has just been a solid, good, elite baseball player for the Guardians slash Indians, like in my memory. I'm
Yeah,
18, and probably since I was 10, Jose Ramirez was putting up these good stats. So these great stats, I should say. So with that being said, I think Jose Ramirez will be a Hall of Famer
yeah,
for
that's for
sure.
sure, for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
he's been in the league forever. I remember as a Cubs fan watching him tear the Cubs up in 2016 as like a 20-year-old or something like that. He was really young and playing at a high level, and he's just continued to stay like that since like I guess as he's getting older. A guy that like I would have maybe had as a Hall of Fame track if injuries didn't get to him for the Guardians was Shane Bieber. And
Yeah.
that dude was unbelievable to start his career, and then I think he's been hurt every year the
Mm.
last 2 or 3 years. Really derailed his career. Just somebody else for the Guardians other than Ramirez, but. injuries are part of the sport and it
Yep.
sucks.
All right, just to give some stats on Jose Ramirez, or some accolades, sorry. He has made the All-Star game 6 times, three with the Guardians, three with the Indians, and is a five-time Silver Slugger. So, enough
Wow.
said there.
He doesn't have an MVP though, right?
I don't know.
I know he's been very close sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can go ahead and go. I'm gonna look that up.
Okay. So next I'm gonna go. This one's kind of quick. Actually, I'll do the longer one, and I'll do the Cardinals real quick, just because there's only one guy. He's a walk-in. It's Arenado, the greatest defensive third baseman of all time. I don't really think it's up for debate. Every play, anything hit to that dude's way, he's making it. He's a first ballot, or maybe not first ballot, but he's up there. He's definitely going to get in really early when he's eligible. That's the only guy I found on the Cardinals that could probably make it. That might be some
Okay.
bias seat. What?
I don't know if this is saying no, he has not won a MVP award. He's been nominated 3 times though.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off, but
Okay, that's it. I mean, Arenado, not much to speak on for that, unless you have somebody else with the Cardinals that you could think of.
no, I mean, if Goldschmidt obviously was still there,
Well,
there'd be
yeah,
an argument for him. Um,
maybe a guy
but
like Mason Wynn because he's so
yeah,
young.
100% maybe. But I mean, Arenado is a vacuum over there at
Yeah.
third base, and he's had the hitting stats. And he's been doing it forever too. He
Hmm.
has the longevity for sure. Let's see. And then in my final team in the Central Divisions, I have Tarek Skubal for the Detroit Tigers. I, he's the best lefty since Prime Kershaw. The dude is gross. Um, he's only 28 years old. Now, granted, he really only came onto the scene last year. He was good in 23, but last year was really his breakout year. So
Mhm.
his stats are kind of underwhelming, but I'm telling you, in 5 years, they're going to look beautiful, and he's
Yeah,
going to have a very strong case for the Hall of Fame.
for sure. And pitchers tend to age really well. Like guys like Scherzer and Verlander just
Mhm.
got better as they got older. So we'll see. I mean, I think Scooball's going to go back to back this year with the Cy Young, so he'll definitely have the
Exactly.
accolades.
Yeah.
Um, he might mess around and win the MVP this year if
Yeah,
if a
crazier
guy
things have
like
happened.
Judge gets hurt. So finally, I'm going to end with the Central with my team, the Cubs, and I have two guys on this team. I have Kyle Tucker. I feel like if he, not as of right now, he's not, but if he keeps playing at a high level like he has, I think he could get in the Hall of Fame. And then the other guy I put, this is probably a little biased coming out, but I have Shota Imanaga.
You don't have
Now,
PCA?
that one, okay.
How are you how
Wait,
are you gonna do all what you did last episode and not come
well,
on here
no,
and say
be-
PCA?
because I was gonna say I have PCA with a star next to his name because he's too young. If you let me finish, okay? You didn't think I was leaving my king PCA out of here, okay? God. All right, Shota Imanaga. I mean, that is a real wild card. He really burst on the scene last year as a rookie. Um, was really the only good thing about the Cubs last year. Whenever we were just so mid. Um, but yeah, if he can keep playing like this, he did get injured this year. He's been a little injured. That's what I'm worried about if the injury history like lingers. Um, but I think he could possibly project to be a Hall of Famer if he keeps this up. Definitely not first ballot. I don't see him being a first ballot Hall of Famer unless he go wins multiple Cy Youngs.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, those are those two, and then obviously my king PCA. I don't even need to say much. Just go watch our video from yesterday or 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
Dude's a platinum glover. He's the best outfielder in the defensive outfielder in the MLB right now, and he's raking. But I don't know if he can keep that up. Just take my bias out of it.
Yeah, I
The way
mean,
he's hitting right now is not attainable.
I really think PCA
Attainable?
is gonna have a good chance. I think he is. I think he's
I
gonna
could no,
age
yeah, I could
well.
definitely see it. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how PCA develops as an MLB player.
Mhm.
Um, so
Please
let's move
resign him.
on. What's
Please
that?
resign him, Jed Hoyer. Please resign him.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Honestly, PCA kind of screwed the Cubs. Sorry to sidetrack, but like
That's fine.
just I don't think the Cubs saw this coming from him. So like their thing was that they were going to extend Tucker, but then PCA is playing really well, so he's going to need an extension. So
A
we'll
big
see.
ol' extension.
Yeah, so I think they're going to have to pick and choose who they want, and I know who I would want,
Yeah.
but that's not. Let's move on.
How old's
Can we get
Kyle
sidetracked?
Tucker?
I think he's 28. if I'm not mistaken.
If y'all could lock up PCA and Kyle Tucker in that outfield, dude.
Nah, yeah, he's 28. That's a lot of money though for those two.
I know, but that would
PCA
be
already
elite.
he turned down a $75 million extension earlier in the year. He bet on himself. Safe to say that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah. All
But
right,
we'll
let's move
see.
on to the East Division. Um, I'll start with the Toronto Blue Jays. Pretty easy, obvious one here. Max Scherzer. Uh, if you thought Max Scherzer wasn't a Hall of Famer, maybe even a first ballot, just go look at his stats. He has nearly 3,500 strikeouts. And in today's day and age, now I know obviously Max Scherzer's a little older. You never see that. I don't think you will ever see that ever again. I think
No.
Kershaw is probably going to be the last 3,000 strikeout guy, and Max Scherzer has 3,500 strikeouts. So enough said there. His career record is 216 and 112. So yeah,
My God.
enough said there. And then also, I mean, Vladdy Jr. Who knows? Really, I mean, who knows? He's has the power. He's hits for average. He's a good combination of both. Um, but he still has a lot to prove. Needless to
Mhm.
say.
Yeah. I'm shocked you didn't name a guy like Alejandro Kirk. I'm obviously
Hey, he's
kidding.
an all-star, man.
He is. He's an all-star. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna do since you mentioned Kershaw, I'll do the Dodgers real quick. Kershaw is obviously one of them. He's a walk-in Hall of Famer. He's at this point, I think he's just trying to get 3,000 strikeouts.
He
He's
might
three away.
tonight. I think tonight's the
Yeah,
night for him.
he's three strikeouts away from it.
Yeah.
Could very well get it tonight. And just if whoever's up to bat when he has 2,999, if you don't purposely strike out just one time, just let the man get the record.
You don't want to be that guy though.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I just feel like that's
No, no.
nobody's actually gonna do that. But like, come on, I feel like the dude's gonna get 3,000 and retire right there on the mound. Like
Hang the
I
cleats
don't
up,
know.
throw the cleats on the field
Yeah,
after he
like
gets.
that's a crazy milestone. Like you said, 3,000.
Yeah.
He's a first ballot. He might even be whatever's up in whatever's before first ballot. Scherzer and Kershaw are that. Okay, like they could retire right now and be in. And then the three other guys, three obvious guys for them is Otani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. I don't think there's many arguments there.
Nope.
Those three guys, they all have a championship. I think Mookie has two, and Freddie has two. So yeah, they have all the accolades. Otani's going to continue to be who he is. He's going to rack up MVPs and all this that. But yeah, that and I have one star, and me and Connor we talked about this before, and it's Blake Snell. Now, this might be a hot take. He I don't have his stats in front of me right now. I could look him up, but he has the accolades. I think he has. Does he have a? No, he doesn't have a ring. I don't think.
No, they when he
But
was on that Tampa Bay team, they lost.
yeah, that's right. I don't know if he was on the Dodgers last year. No, he was on the Giants.
Yeah.
So he's played 9 years. He has 71 wins, 58 losses. That's fine because he's on a couple bad Rays teams. He's got a career ERA of 3.31. 1,200 strikeouts and two Cy Youngs. So now that I look at this, I could see him getting in for sure. Maybe if he gets one or two more Cy Youngs, if he gets better as he gets older. But injuries have been a problem for him in the last couple of years. That's the one thing I'm worried about. But I could definitely see Blake Snell getting in. Maybe definitely not first ballot, but at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been a solid pitch. He's gotten injured a little bit, but he's been a solid pitcher. Kind of in our
Yeah,
fandom as MLB fans. Now we have. I'm going to Tampa Bay Rays, and looking at the Rays roster, I mean, you got solid players like Yandy Diaz, Junior Caminero. Um, I guess he could, and then obviously got Jonathan Aranda. But this guy, I've always been a fan of this guy, Shane McClanahan. Now I know he has all kind of injuries. I know he has all kind of injuries. But I think he might have even won Cy Young.
he did.
He did.
2023.
He was an all-star starter. He was the starting pitcher in the all-star game. Two-time all-star. And I mean, if he could just stay healthy, man, I think he really could have a good shot. And who knows? I mean, I think he still could do it, but I don't know. He's gonna have so much more. Like he's 28 right now. He would have to like maybe never get injured again in his MLB career in order to have
Yeah,
a shot and to have great production while not getting injured. But I'm rooting for Shane McClanahan, and when he's on the mound, when he's healthy, he's filthy.
for
So
sure. Him and Scoball remind me a lot of each other for some reason. I don't know
yeah.
why.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was a good take. My next team, I'm gonna go with I'll go with the Rockies real quick just to get that out the
Get that
way.
out the way.
Um, I literally could not find a person on the Rockies. The one person I went with is Chase Dolander. Um, now I think he would have to get traded or leave the Rockies in order to project to Hall of Fame because pitchers in Colorado is it's a graveyard. Um, but yeah, I saw him in college a lot, and he was really good. I think he started out fairly well, but he's been really, really bad recently. I just think he
Hmm.
needs to get out of Colorado. Colorado's not a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Um, that's the guy I was talking about earlier, that he needs to be traded to possibly get in the Hall of Fame. But if he stays with the Rockies, I don't see him getting in the Hall of Fame. But if he maybe gets traded or leaves in free agency and signs with a team in a less hitter-friendly ballpark like Seattle or something like that, I could definitely see him squeaking in the Hall of Fame if he performs well, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one of those guys. Like we have
He's too
no
young.
idea,
Yeah,
but he has all the tools to be
for
a Hall
sure.
of Famer. Next, I'm going to go with the Orioles. Shout out Swoot. I got Gunnar Henderson. Now, there's a ton of guys on the Orioles that could. Jackson Holliday, Rutschman, Kobe Mayo, all
Kobe
those
Mayo's
guys.
not. Wait, never mind, never mind. I'm thinking, never mind. Sorry.
Um,
I switched up Kobe Mayo and Connor Norby. I don't know
no.
why.
Mhm.
That's on me.
But yeah, I mean Gunnar Henderson, he's elite. Even when the Orioles aren't good, like a year like this year, he has a near 800 OPS. I mean last year he was a monster, and I mean if he can, like, I mean he's still very young, obviously, but if he can stay on the field, and he keeps up this production, I don't see how he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame one day because the Orioles, if they don't mess it up, they should be set up really well for the future. But the front office has got to spend money.
Yeah. The Orioles are kind of interesting. Like they didn't spend money last year, but because their core is so good, they could really go out and spend this year and be right back in title contention.
Exactly.
Just because they're so young and so talented. I don't know why they didn't just do that last year when their championship window was wide open.
Yeah, they should have
Um,
done it last year because it's another year. You don't like it's an extra
exactly,
year you put off from paying guys like Henderson when they're
exactly,
gonna and Jackson Holiday when they're gonna need those big old extensions.
exactly.
So
I just don't understand it
they
to be
completely
honest.
screwed that up.
Yeah. I mean, the Orioles organization has been particularly run well the last
Shout
10,
out
15
Swoot
years.
again.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll move on. I'll do the Giants real quick. I have one obvious one and then two possible. The obvious one is Justin Verlander. Him
100%.
and Max Scherzer, those two, their careers are very, very similar, I would say. I'll look up Justin Verlander as I talk. He's been on a couple different teams and he's performed every single place he's been. Um, he's dating Kate Upton, so that's another one. Um, let's see. He has a career WAR of 80.4 with 262 wins and 152 losses. 3,401 strikeouts. So very, very
Very
similar,
similar.
comparable to Max Scherzer. If you don't think this guy is a Hall of Famer, you don't watch baseball. Just plain and simple. Him and Scherzer have been battling out, not battling out, but they've been 1 and 1A, I feel like, every since they came in the league. Justin Verlander has been in the league since 2005. That's unbelievable.
That's older than
He was
us.
on Detroit. Yeah, that is crazy to say
That's
out loud.
wild.
He's been in the league 2 years longer than we've been alive. But yeah, he's that's obvious. Not much to say there. He's got all the accolades. He's got a World Series ring. Um, does he? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What am I talking about? And then next, I put Logan Webb just because he's been very good this last
Yeah.
couple of years.
He's a
I think
I
he
feel like Logan Webb's going to be a Hall of pretty good.
probably,
Well,
probably, but
I'm glad you
you
picked
never
him.
know. I don't think he's a Cy Young yet. If he does, I
I'll check.
don't think he
I,
does.
I doubt he does, but
I know that he's in contention this year, but if a guy like Skeens is in the National League for the next 15 years, I don't see Logan Webb really getting one. So I don't know, especially with Skeens and Mizorowski emerging,
yeah, he's never
and
been
I
a Cy
mean,
Young.
yeah, Mackenzie Gore, who I'll mention later. And then my last one, Connor, you probably won't like this one. It's Rafael Devers. Obviously, you're a Yankees fan. Um, I, I don't know. He's still pretty young, I think. He has had a pretty consistent career. Just maybe a guy who can keep this up, stay consistent throughout his career, maybe get in. Probably not because his defense is so bad. But we'll see. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you never
you
know.
meant like I don't need like I'm not even a hater of Rafael Devers anymore. He's terrorized my favorite team, but now I don't have to worry about him anymore.
Yeah,
So that is a great feeling. Whenever I saw that trade, like just a relief, like a sense of relief just came over me. I can only imagine what Garrett Cole was feeling. But next,
Hmm,
I'm going to go to Devers' old team, the Red Sox, and I'm gonna go with Garrett Crochet. Uh, this guy's only 26 years old. If you told me you knew
that's
Garrett
crazy.
Crochet was 26 years old, you'd be lying. I had no idea he was 20. And like with the his facial hair, he's just like
Yeah.
huge, like physically. Like I feel
Hmm.
like he's like 30, maybe not 30, like
Yeah.
29 or 30,
Yeah, for
not
sure.
26. And he has a one flat whip right now. He now granted he was on those awful White Sox teams. And he has a
Yeah,
losing record for his career right now, but that will turn around if he stays with the Whites or Red Sox, or even if he gets traded to a better team. I mean, that's going to turn around in a heartbeat.
for sure.
Um, Garrett Crochet, if he doesn't get hurt, he could be pushing 2,000 strikeouts, I think, by the end of his career because he's only 26 right now. Um, and then obviously with the Red Sox, you have guys like Roman Anthony, all those young guys, Marcelo
Marcelo
Mayer, but
Meyer. Yeah.
it's way too early to like. I
Yeah.
mean, they've been in the league for like 2 months, so
Yeah.
that's all I
Maybe a
got with
guy
the Red
like
Sox.
Jaron Duran, possibly.
Yeah, maybe Jarren Duran. He's seeming like Hall pretty good though.
Yeah, he's so young. You just never know.
Yeah,
My next team, I'm gonna go with the Padres. I have two that I think are pretty, I would say locks for the Hall of Fame, and that's Yu Darvish. Me and Connor were talking about that before.
yep,
And Manny Machado. Um, I don't think he's a lock first ballot, but I think he could definitely get in later, like if he's
yeah. I
eligible.
think Machado will get in.
He's been good everywhere he's been. He's been on the Orioles, the Dodgers, and the Padres now. He's produced everywhere. I think he has close to 200 home runs, if I'm not mistaken. Could be completely wrong and might have butchered that.
We only have
Um,
10 minutes remaining, bro.
yeah, well, yeah, okay. I won't waste my time on that. So yeah, and then my other two, I have it's too young to tell. I have Tatis and Jackson Merrill, just because he's so young
Yeah,
and he's burst on the scene so quickly.
you can't leave out Jackson Merrill with what
No,
he's done in his young career so far. Next for the Yankees, I mean, there's so many. You could go Goldschmidt. You could go Stanton, I think would make the Hall of Fame. Garrett Cole will make the Hall of Fame.
God, yeah, so
Um,
many.
I mean, obviously Aaron Judge. Those are the locks. Bellinger, probably a Hall of pretty good guy. Um, but there's not really too much to say about a guy like Aaron Judge or like Garrett Cole because I mean they've been there and done that already. Now Stanton, we were talking about this. Stanton's thinking about it now, Brock. Stanton's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's gotten injured a lot in
Yeah,
his
he
time with the
has, but
Yankees. That's the only thing.
those years with the Marlins and then he was really good for the Yankees. I mean, like
Yeah,
I don't know. We'd have to do a deeper dive into that
for
one day,
sure.
but thinking about it now, I think Stan would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, it's just the injury woes with
Yeah,
him. That's
100%.
the only scary thing. So my last team for this division is the Diamondbacks, and I have two players. I have Ketel Marte. I think he's done enough, not enough, but I think If he keeps producing, he would have done enough for that. He's not going to have the accolades like the MVPs or any of that. But now that I say that, he's probably a Hall of pretty good player. But
I think Ketel Marte is probably a Hall of pretty good player.
yeah, and then yeah, I mean, now that I'm saying this out loud, he's probably a Hall of pretty good because he's not going to get the accolades
Yeah,
for it.
exactly.
He'd have to get 2,000 or hits or 200, 300 home runs, which I don't think he's close to. And then my other guy I have for the Diamondbacks is Corbin Carroll. Like, kind of similar to what we've been saying. He's too young to tell right now. I think he's been very good for his young career. And if he keeps playing like this, I think he's got it easily because his
Mhm.
defense is so good and he's now hitting for power.
Yep, exactly. Now moving on to the final division, the West Division. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, A, because I don't like the guy, B, because he's a surefire Hall of Famer, but Jose Altuve,
Oh,
enough said about him.
wow. Okay. All right. Well, Connor's doing the AL West. I'm on the NL East. I guess we flip-flopped that. We didn't realize, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
jeez.
matter. I'm gonna do the Mets. I don't like the Mets, so I'm gonna go pretty quickly. I have Lindor. That's pretty obvious. He's a first ballot for sure. Pete Alonso and Connor, your favorite player on the Mets, Juan Soto.
Yeah, my favorite player on the Mets.
Yeah, not much to say on those two. I think all three of those could easily get into the Hall of Fame.
No, I mean Juan Soto's insane, bro. Like
Yeah,
he's having a like he was having
a
a
down
down
year.
year, and then all of a sudden he has like a 900 plus OPS now.
Yeah, I wish a down year was 900 OPS.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Next, I'm gonna go to the Mariners. The Mariners have, I guess, a few guys you could kind of consider. You got guys like Julio Rodriguez, young, exciting. Um, and then you also have guys like Brian Wu, who I'm gonna go as my number one choice here. He's only 25 years old. He's got a good record. He this year, many people don't know this, and if my God, if Brian Wu's not an all-star with a .97 WHIP, that is a disservice because that a stat like that is unbelievable. He's a strike thrower. He doesn't walk anybody. That's why his WHIP's so low. But I think Brian Wu definitely has a good shot to be a star in this league if he can keep his trajectory up and then stay on the field.
Sure, for sure. Um, So my next team's gonna be the Nationals, and I was talking with Connor. Another team is just so incredibly young. You really have no idea.
Yeah.
So I wrote four guys down. For a team that's so young, it's kind of crazy that I have four people. But I had Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams, James Wood, and this is complete bias on my last one because I'm an LSU fan. But I put Dylan Cruz.
I
Because
wouldn't say that's bias. I really wouldn't. I mean, he was a first
he
overall pick a few years, or second overall pick a few years
Well,
ago.
yeah, but he has been struggling this year. That's the only
Yeah,
problem.
I know.
Um, but yeah, I think all th four of these guys could project. Maybe it's way too young to tell. Um, I mean, a guy like Mackenzie Gore is racking up the strikeouts this year. C.J. Abrams is electric at shortstop, and then
Hmm.
an outfield with James Wood and Dylan Cruz for the next 10, 15 years is going to be really good to watch, really fun to watch for baseball fans. So yeah, that's all I got on the Nationals. I mean, they're just so young.
No, 100%. So next I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Angels. Shout out Brock's jersey he had hanging up there last pod.
I
Mike
know what,
Trout.
man.
Uh, I mean, if Mike Trout didn't get healthy or didn't get hurt, he'd be in contention for the greatest baseball player of all time.
For sure.
His stats are unbelievable. Accolades are there, MVPs, Silver Sluggers, you name it. Um, I mean, he's only 33 years old. He probably has a few years left in him.
Wow.
Even this year, he's only batting 230, but he damn near has an 800 OPS. So, I mean, dude's a very solid player. He's gonna make the Hall of Fame. Um, but it's just unfortunate because there was so much left to be desired there with Mike Trout.
One of the craziest stats of Mike Trout is he's never won a playoff game. That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
He's the greatest player of our generation, I would say, before
Mhm.
Otani came along.
Yeah, 100%.
Uh, but I mean, it just kind of sucks what happened to him with all the injuries. But yeah, he was honestly one of my favorite players growing up, just as a baseball fan. But you know what? Injuries suck, and just gotta live with it.
That's part of the game.
Uh, so my next team is the Phillies, and I have one obvious one and then two possible ones.
Okay.
The obvious one's Bryce Harper. I mean, that dude. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. He's been in the
Hmm.
league since he was 19. He's been tearing it up since he was 19. At this point, I think he's just playing for fun. Like really, like he has nothing left to prove. He does need a World Series ring. That's the only thing he really needs to really finish out his career, I would say. But even if he doesn't get it, he's gonna be a Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah.
And then my next two, I have Zach Wheeler. This one is very, very up in the air. I think we looked it up. He has, I think, close. I think he has a 1,500 strikeouts or something like that, and 111 wins. And he's already came out and said that he's retiring after the 2027 season. So that probably is going to hurt him in the long run. But I think if he gets to 150 wins, maybe he could probably see his name called for the Hall of Fame way down the line. He will not be anywhere near a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, yeah.
But very possible. And then the other guy I have is Trey Turner. Just a guy that his stats are pretty good. He doesn't have the accolades, like MVPs or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure he has a World Series. Yeah, he has a World Series ring with the Nationals,
Hmm.
so that'll help. Could possibly get another one with the Phillies. And I think two rings will look pretty good. So just very possible. He's still young. He can still keep it. I mean, he's not incredibly young, but he's still relatively young
He's got some good
in the
years left
league.
still.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's the only people I can find with the Phillies.
Yeah, I think Trey Turner has a really good chance, and obviously
Yeah.
Bryce Harper. Um,
Do you think the World Baseball Classic might his performance in that might have a
People are
chance?
definitely going to remember that.
Yeah,
They're
because
definitely
I
going to
mean, when
remember.
I think of Trey Turner, that's immediately what I remember.
Me too,
Like I think of
100%. Yeah. Um, so we only have two more teams left each. We have about a minute and a half
ooh,
left. So I am going to say Corey Seager. I think Corey Seager is an easy Hall of Famer. I'm gonna rattle off my last one right here too. For the Athletics, I'm gonna have Jacob Wilson, our guy. He's a rookie and he's batting like 340. So enough said there. Brock, what you
for
got for the
sure.
last two?
So for the Braves, I had two pretty obvious ones. I have Chris Sale and then Acuna if he just stops getting injured. And then for the Marlins, I have Kyle Stowers just because he's so young, similar to other teams. That the team's young, and he's having a pretty good year for. I think it's his first real year in the big leagues.
Yeah.
That's it.
The Marlins are another team like the White Sox that we have no
For
idea.
sure.
But yeah, thank you all for listening. That's all Brock and I have for today. In-person pod, hopefully coming tomorrow. We'll see about that.
Yes,
A lot to look forward to as
for
a
sure.
fan of the Big Easy Blitz podcast, and we will see you guys later. Peace.
See ya.